So The Witcher Season 4 dropped, and as you might have expected, it's bad. I mean, it really disappointed me and I didn't even watch the damn show. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and shit on Season 4 or Liam Hemsworth's portrayal of Geralt. I don't care about it, and I think it's best not to waste your time or my own by, reviewing it. But the thing is, I've heard this countless times how Henry Cavill was carrying the show and it died as soon as he left. But is it the only reason? The trailers for Season 4 were ratioed to oblivion. People had already made up their minds and they did not accept Liam as Witcher, and neither did the wig, but anyhow. I just hope the guy got paid a lot of money because this is seriously bad and I do feel sorry for him. Liam is a decent actor, but the simple fact is that he does not suit the role, and from the snippets I've seen of him as Geralt, he barely even tries. I don't know exactly how to put it, but the guy has too much of a happy face with sparkly and hopeful eyes, and also he looks a bit too young and nice to be Geralt. And in my opinion, that's why he doesn't click. So of course there's no denying that Cavill leaving is a big factor of the show dying, but let's not pretend the show was great to begin with. The thing is, just like many of you, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was my entry point into the franchise as well. I loved that game and was interested in seeing more of the Witcher's world and especially more of Geralt's story. Now I tried but couldn't really get into the Witcher books, and also back then I didn't have the means to play Witcher 1 or 2, so when there were rumors about a show, I was naturally hyped. They were saying that the show would be based on the books, and it was the perfect opportunity for me to see some more of Geralt's adventure. And when I heard that Henry Cavill landed the role, I was over the moon. In fact, The Witcher was the only reason I subscribed to Netflix in the first place back in 2019. But when the show finally dropped and I watched it, I was pretty much left with mixed feelings. I was in denial because I couldn't like the show like I wanted to. Cavill did a great job, but sadly, and you might disagree with me, the show was just okay. Then came Season 2, which was surprisingly somehow even more disappointing. And then I barely made it 20 minutes into the first episode of Season 3 before dropping it entirely and cancelling my Netflix subscription. And man, am I glad I did not waste my time on this shit. For me at least, the show was already dead even before Cavill left. So the question is, what exactly went wrong and what CD Projekt Red should learn from all this? Because from what I've been hearing in the recent news, which I'll get into in just a bit, I'm not exactly optimistic about this next Witcher game. And once again, just making it clear that I have no problems with female leads, because God forbid you criticize anything with a female lead these days and you just instantly get labeled as a woman hater. I loved Lara Croft, and Horizon Zero Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. I loved Aloy's character in that game, and even in the second game. For me at least, she was fine. So I'm not here to tell you that the game is gonna be woke and just start hating it blindly. But as a huge fan of The Witcher 3, as someone who's been genuinely looking forward to what CDPR had in store for us, and most importantly as a paying customer, I have a right to question some of the stuff I've been seeing, and so do you. And hey, you also have the right to hit the subscribe button and drop a like if you're enjoying the content, if you want to exercise that right, of course. Every day we're getting closer to 1,000 subs, and your support really means a lot. Thank you. Anyways, let's first talk about why the show gradually turned into a steaming pile of dog shit. The real reason is Lauren Schmidt Hisrich, the lead writer and the showrunner, which is a fitting title since you ran the show into the ground. I genuinely fail to understand how you mess up something like The Witcher. The books are there, loved by the fans of the books. The games are there, loved by the fans of the games. You already have Henry Cavill, a huge fan base, and 2 established mediums with an assload of great content to draw from. You could literally just cherry pick the best parts from the books and games, and just like that, you have a great adaptation loved by the fans of both. So how do you mess that up? The answer is simple. You actively mock and hate the source material and try to change it for the sake of pushing the message. And that's exactly what the writers did. The thing is, Geralt has started to feel like a side character in his own show already in the second season. And by this point, we all know that Cavill simply left because he wanted to stick to the books and games, but Lauren, on the other hand, had her own vision that I can very comfortably say no one gives a f about. This so-called vision of hers, which feels more like a feminist fever dream to be honest, is the reason the show is dead, and I fear the same thing is about to happen to The Witcher 4. The thing is, CDPR had the creative freedom to take any direction they wanted for the earlier games because they had purchased the game rights to the IP. However, instead of doing their own thing entirely, they stuck very close to the source material's lore and characters, using the books as canon for their games and making their own story a respectful non-canonical sequel. and they occasionally called Andre to consult on different things that now apparently they don't need to do. According to some recent news, it's rare for CD Projekt Red to ask Andrei Sapkowski for his advice anymore. He says that he used to have a slightly closer working relationship with CD Projekt Red on earlier games in the series. He says they occasionally asked him for advice and additional information about his world. Now, however, he says that it's so rare for CDPR to ask him for details, and why would they? They already have a new lore developer. This guy, who conveniently used to be a game journalist and worked for the worst possible gaming media outlet, The Gamer. This new lore developer has been working hand in hand with the writers of the game, and of course he is, because now they want to make a game about Ciri as a Witcheress. And this is where things really start to fall apart. Instead of going with Ciri for her unique Elder Blood abilities, they want to pander to the non-existent feminist gamer crowd by pushing the message that women can be Witchers too. Not to mention that a vast majority of the fan base of the Witcher games are men, but anyways, no wonder why they need advice from someone like Kian but not from good old Sapkowski. Because if they did hit him up, this is how it would go. Hey Andre, so we're making a new game and we're making Ciri into the Witcher. What the f***? The thing is, Sapkowski invented the word Witcher, and it's actually a masculine version of the word witch, a word that's primarily associated with females, so the very essence behind the concept of Witchers is masculine. Now, just making it clear that I'm no Witcher scholar, so please feel free to correct me in the comments down below if I get something wrong. But logically speaking, females can become Witchers for two simple reasons. 1. The Trial of Grasses was specifically designed with male biology in mind, and of course it was, because the Witcher world is not set in a 2025 Reddit thread. It's a medieval world with monsters and bloody conflicts and wars breaking out all the time, and in a world like this, it would only be the basic instinct of men to protect the women and the girls because they play a much bigger role preserving our goddamn species. Now, some people will argue that Sapkowski never explicitly say that females can't be Witchers, to which I would say he didn't feel the need to specify that because back in the day when he wrote those books, the world was a normal place, and this point was established with logic. The second thing is, the Trial of Grasses is an extremely deadly ritual, designed so that only a select few boys with the right physical attributes and survival instincts can make it out alive. Only 1 in 10 boys survive the trials, scarred and changed forever. That's how lethal it is. Even the weaker males don't survive the process, so I dread to guess what the odds for a girl would be. 1 in 50? It's just simple biology. Women are not as physically strong as men. Don't get mad at me or Sapkowski, go get mad at nature. Now, one more thing to note is that the boys that undergo the trials are pretty young. They are developing bodies and they can be shaped more easily than an adult. So Ciri being a Witcher does not make sense for two reasons. First, she's a female, and second, she's like in her 30s. Then there's the fact that there were not many monsters left anyways, so there was no need for new Witchers, and that's why the handful of Witchers we see in the games were the last of their kind. And even if they wanted to make new Witchers, it would not have been possible because the formula was lost in the first place, and the schools were pretty much non-existent. On top of that, Geralt, Yennefer, Triss, and everyone who loves Ciri would never let her undergo the trials in the first place, even if it were possible. So seeing how the guys at CD Projekt Red are going out of their way to make Ciri into the Witcher without asking for Andrei's input, while having a lore developer who was a game journalist at The Gamer, speaks volumes about what's coming. And to me, it all just feels like what Netflix did, bastardize the lore. The thing is, Ciri was an interesting character, and what made her so interesting were her unique Elder Blood abilities, and if I wanted to play as her, I wanted to explore those powers. Well, I guess I also wanted Ciri just for her powers. But anyways, I however did not want to play as a discount gender-swapped Geralt. The Witcher 4 game would have been much better if you could create your own Witcher and your own adventure. Or if not that, any other prequel story set long before Geralt's or even Vesemir's time. Maybe something like the Golden Age of Witchers, a time when there were more schools, more conflicts, more monsters, something close to the Nightmare of the Wolf story. There were a number of good ideas they could have gone with, but they went with this one. And something tells me that this decision was not a creative decision but a corporate one. Unfortunately, they are doing the exact same thing Lauren tried to do with the show. The only difference is that Lauren couldn't turn the show into the Cirilla because Geralt was part of the story. But with Geralt's story concluded in the games, CDPR can do it pretty easily. And this is also what every other AAA studio is doing. prioritizing the message and female representation and forcing their progressive political nonsense into the games. I mean, literally every big game in the last couple of years had a poorly written female lead, and most of them have been failing left and right no matter how the mainstream media tries to spin it. Gamers are just sick of this nonsense. CDPR needs to realize that the majority of their fan base are men who loved Geralt, and even though they loved Ciri, I don't think anyone is super hyped to play as a girl boss version of her. If they went with Ciri for a spin-off game, that would have worked just fine. But when the game's called The Witcher 4, I wanna play as a Witcher, not a Witcheress. Which doesn't even make sense because they just feminized a word that was already a masculine version of a feminine word. But anyhow, normally I would give them the benefit of doubt if people like Kian were not working on the game. And do keep in mind that the people who made the older Witcher games have long gone. Konrad Tomaskevich, the game director on The Witcher 3, left CDPR along with a bunch of other devs to establish their own studios, Rebel Wolves. And now they're working on a new IP, The Blood of Dawnwalker, and to be very honest, I'm more hyped for that than The Witcher 4. So this is not the same CDPR that gave you The Witcher 3. Unfortunately, they have also been hijacked by nonsense activists, and this should give you an idea of what The Witcher 4 is gonna be. I do hope they learn from the mistakes of these other games and don't turn Ciri into another shallow, strong female character just to check a box, but who am I kidding? They never learn. Anyways, I'll leave you at that. Do let me know in the comments down below what are your thoughts about Season 4 of The Witcher, and how hyped are you for The Witcher 4. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, take care.